And good morning, everybody. How's it going? It is Annette the Peacemaker, and I'm here with the YGRL, the Yang Gang Report Live. And this is really early morning for me, and I am not very articulate this early in the morning. So if I don't make sense, that is why. And with that, I am going to introduce the everybody else I have on the screen with me. So if you've watched us before, you know that we've got my Yang Gang sister, Faye, the Lone Star Warrior, down in Texas, Palestine, Texas. Hello, say hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
And then,
hi.
And then below Faye, we've got Dr. Quintus Jett. And Quintus, are you in California today?
Yes, I am. Los Angeles.
Yes,
California.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so Quintus is in California. And then our guest of honor right below me is Vincent Kajomo. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. Yes. And Vincent is a UBI advocate in Kenya. And he is here to talk with us today about a flood disaster that has happened in where he lives in his town. And yeah, so we're going to be showing pictures. We're going to be showing videos of the devastation that has happened due to the flood. And then, of course, that will end up tying into UBI, Universal Basic Income, and how that would be extremely helpful in a disaster situation such as this. So welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And from here, I'm going to let Faye take over a little bit because she organized this whole thing. So,
All right.
Faye, take it away.
I'm so happy to meet you for the first time in face-to-face, Vincent. And I wanted to share with everybody some of the news articles and the photos that you brought to us so that, you know, everyone can understand what's really happening for you. It's hard, I think, for people to trust someone who is far away from us. And so this allows people to build more trust with you and understand more deeply what's happening. Maybe we can put on we're going to first start with a news article that is happening on YouTube. So can we put that up, Annette? So this looks like I found something on YouTube for is it Kisumu? Is that how you say your town?
Yes.
Kisumu governor is going to tell us a little bit about what's happening there.
More than 32,000 people have been displaced in the last 2 days following heavy rains that have caused flooding in Kisumu County. The raging floods have caused massive disruption to the lives of people in several counties, including West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, and Tana River and Baringo counties, as well as Siaya. Besides causing extensive damage to property and infrastructure, this has increased the vulnerability of the affected, especially at this time of COVID-19 pandemic. Now, to cushion the affected families, the government has distributed relief food and non-food items to the 20 affected counties.
The floodwaters continue to weave a trail of destruction and despair across the country. Transport along the Kabarnet 10 road was paralyzed for hours after a heavy downpour. The Captain Bor Bridge collapsed, leaving motorists stranded. Residents heading home waded in the pools of water, oblivious to the danger.
Wale watu wanafuga kupeleka chakula sasa wamekwama. Hii maji inakwamisha kila mtu.
Sio kama wangeweka daraja kwa kubwa ndio maji ingie chini ndio watu wapite, sababu unaona saa hizi wakati huu mbaya wa corona kila mtu anachunga saa.
And in Kisumu County, over 6,500 households have been displaced, translating to about 32,000 people in the past 2 days. The flood has covered vast areas of Nyando, parts of Muhoroni, lower parts of Nyakach, parts of Kisumu East around Nyalenda, parts of Seme and parts of Kisumu Central, especially along the lake shores. A statement released from the Office of the Governor of Kisumu, Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, reads in part, and I quote, "The raging floods have caused massive disruption to the lives of our people, causing extensive damage to property and infrastructure and increasing our vulnerability, especially at this time that we are dealing with the prevention of the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic."
From this year's experience, with COVID and flooding at the same time, we shall respond during the economic recovery period following COVID.
Approximately 80 acres of maize, beans and other crops have been destroyed in Muhoroni alone. River Nyando broke its banks on Tuesday, adding to the massive flooding in the area. Professor Nyong'o now calling for urgent support from the national government and well-wishers.
The flooding along the Nyando Basin cannot be controlled effectively and until and unless we build the Koru Soin multipurpose dam.
Meanwhile, to cushion displaced families in the 20 affected counties, namely West Pokot, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kilifi, Tana River, Kisumu, Isiolo, Samburu, Garissa, Wajir, Marsabit, Busia, Kericho, Homa Bay, Baringo, Siaya and Trans Nzoia. The Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Devolution, released from the National Cereals and Produce Board over 40,000 bags of 25 kilos of rice, fortified feeds, vegetable oil cartons and non-food items to be distributed to each sub-county affected by floods.
But we'll urge people who are close to the lake to please move. Those who are living close to River Tana, we're expecting that as the waters rise of the River Tana, likely to break its banks, we are urging them to please move to higher ground.
The national government is also working with the affected county governments to develop additional strategies to mitigate risks. Dorcas Wangira, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Okay, let me pause this. Why does it continue to go? All right. So that is where you live. Kisumu County is where you live. What is the name of your town, Vincent?
I'm living a certain small village called Kosano in Nyakach sub-county in Kisumu County, Kenya.
Do you want to tell us more about what's happening for you? I know that we have a little lag because you are all the way across on the other side of the world from us. So please be patient because the sound will lag a little bit.
Okay, I will talk briefly about what is happening here about flood.
Yes.
Yes. I'm Vincent Kajomo from a small village, Kosano in Nyakach, Kisumu County, Kenya. Our area has been covered by the flood. This is the year. This year has been worse than other years. Flood season we expect more rainfall during to this climate right now. Climate is not good. Even right now, I am seeing some cloudy up. The River Nyando and River Awach have burned its banks and caused floods, and homes have been swept away. In Kisumu alone, estimate of 3,000 people were fairly dispersed by the flood. Displaced people currently live at Miroka Primary, Rai Primary, St. Louis Primary, and they need events areas that are safe to stay. Due to this corona, we are really suffering because some people are homeless right now. Some homes were destroyed by the flood. They cannot stay in. Some houses was swept away by water. They cannot stay in. People are homeless right now. Even flood has caused some waterborne disease. So I currently required well-wishers to help me. Then I will help others also to get some, even a good simple house to stay, to get even food. People are lack food right now. No, even young people cannot go to school because their books were swept away by flood. We are really suffer here. I need well-wishers to help me. Then I will help them with food, sugar, soap, even clothes. They have no clothes right now. I take this opportunity to thank you for what you have done. Even support me with the little you have. I will support them. Thank you.
That's wonderful. I wanted to find out. Oh, here's Penny, who is joining us. Penny, do you want to turn on your mic and introduce yourself? Because you were making this plea in conjunction with Vincent for Vincent's hometown. I can't hear you yet, so the mic is not working yet. We'll give Penny a chance to get her audio on. So, how did you meet Penny? How's that, Vincent? How did you meet Penny? Vincent, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us how you met Penny while Penny's working on her audio?
Okay, I met Penny. It is about 1 year now. When we are met only on Facebook through doing awareness of UBI. I'm doing awareness of UBI Kenya and Penny doing awareness of UBI America. We are met there and share those photos, how the flood affect people on the ground. Even me, I am homeless right now. I'm staying in school. Then Penny take this opportunity to come up with fundraising that are going on now to collect some funds to help me. Then I will help others also. When I build my house, I will build others also. When I have food, I will give others also. That is where I meet Penny on Facebook. It is about 1 year around now. Thank you.
I see that you are part of a group called the Universal Basic Income Movement, which also has
Yes.
a chapter in UBI Kenya, or is it different chapters, or that is what it's called at UBI Kenya?
Yeah.
Annette, if we could share my screen share, I would like to take people to the Facebook page for the Universal Basic Income.
Universal Basic Income.
The Universal Basic Income
Hello.
Movement, which started in 2016. This particular Facebook page was started 2016. So
Yes.
this is an organization that Vincent is a part of and met Penny. You met Penny through this or something else?
Yes, through this.
Okay. And so here's their about page. This is their group. When there looks like a lot of very happy people learning about UBI together.
Yes.
I love this. The UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25. In the United States, we do not think about human rights in the same way because we are pulling back from the United Nations instead of doing more. I love this. The first clause, everyone has the right to a standard of living, adequate for the health and well-being of himself and of his family, including food, clothing, housing, and medical care, and necessary social services, and the right to security in the event of unemployment, sickness, disability, widowhood, old age, or other lack of livelihood in circumstances beyond his control. And number 2, oh, my favorite, motherhood and childhood are entitled to special care and assistance. All children, whether born in or out of wedlock, shall enjoy the same social protection. That seems a very well thought document there. That Universal Declaration of Human Rights by the United Nations, that has been signed onto by so many nations. And those are the things that you're lacking right now in the middle of this flood, in this midst of the flood, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So it looks like Penny is still having some trouble with her audio. Would you like to show some of the slides of the photos, Annette, for Vincent's personal photos? I think Annette is pulling those up now. And Vincent, is there any movement on getting a UBI passed in Kenya or anywhere else that you know about in Africa?
Yes. UBI in Kenya, we still doing awareness. We do launching years coming, not right now. It will take 1 year to do launching of UBI Kenya. It is not, we are still looking for donors and doing awareness on the ground, even in the social media.
Okay, and is it a movement mostly of students, or are older people also understanding the need? Is this a movement? Oh, here we go. We have some photos. Do you want to tell us what is in your photos here? And let's make them as large as we can. If that's the maximum size, then we'll have that.
Okay. This photo is within my area, where a small village, a small ward called West Nyakach, in Nyakach.
I see the water has come right up to her, maybe coming into her home.
Yes.
Have the floodwaters receded yet? Is the flood going down now at this point?
At this point, flood is not going around at all, but it is little, a bit.
So when this happens, do the people need to find somewhere else to stay temporarily while the water is going down?
Right now, people are stay in schools, not home, in schools.
They've evacuated their home and gone to the school for a safe space.
They leave the home and go for the school for a white a bit. When the water go down, we look the way to build even simple house, even one room to them to stay in.
So are any of these your friends and family?
My friends and families are in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep going on to the next slide. Penny is here.
Can you hear me?
And we can hear you.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I think the battery in my mouse, you guys, is about to die. So
okay, that works then.
I'm struggling trying to get it to move around.
Okay, Annette. Do you have another battery somewhere?
Yes, I do, but I can't.
Okay, don't worry about it. We'll just talk. Yeah, around that. So Penny, we heard from Vincent a little bit how he met you. Do you want to also tell us how you got involved in this effort?
Sure. I'm part of the Yang Gang, and I was on the swarm team, and I noticed that his group was UBI, and I support UBI also. And so we became friends about a year ago, and I knew that they had flooding there every year, but this year he said it was, much worse this year. And so I started following the news, and the news, they said there was flooding, but it was being taken care of, by relief agencies and whatnot. And then Vincent showed me a picture of his house, and I said, I was just shocked. I said, "What's going on over there?" And it just turned out that that wasn't the case, and they basically seemed to have gotten stranded, and I just thought there's got to be something I can do. I thought this would be a really simple thing to do, but it turned out it wasn't simple at all. I met with roadblocks
What do you
every step
find?
of the way.
Yeah, what do you find to be difficult about this particular plea for funds? Is it because of the coronavirus that people are less giving this year because everybody's so concerned about their own well-being at this point?
Yes, that's definitely, a big part of it. A lot of people are struggling right now and going through things. But then there's others that aren't, and they can help other people. And, I just find that helping other people takes my mind off of what's going on here. I mean, I've barely noticed what's going on here because I've been more worried about what they were going through. Because I could, completely understand. I mean, we have COVID, they have COVID, we have floods, they have floods. We have people that need food, they need food, and everyone needs shelter. And UBI should just be a thing, and that's why I support Humanity Forward and Andrew Yang, and I will just keep supporting it because we all, everyone needs that. It shouldn't be poverty and hunger. And so I just felt that I should do something, and I thought, well, I've done all kinds of things, so I can do this. And the first thing I thought of, well, what does everybody else do? They start a GoFundMe, right? So I'm like, okay, start a GoFundMe. That'll be simple. No, it turns out you can't use GoFundMe in Africa where Vincent lives. So I said, well, maybe there's other fundraisers. So I tried that and nothing worked. So um, I used to work for a large pharmaceutical company. I retired from there from 20 years, and I was a trainer there. And I know that we used to donate extra medicines from the pharmaceutical company to other countries that were in need. And it was something we did all the time. So I thought, well, I'll just get a hold of so and so, my old work, and I'll see about at least getting some medicines to them, just basic aspirin and simple, stuff that people need. And I thought, well, that'd be a good place to start. And well, it turns out they said, no, we don't do that anymore. And I was really shocked about that too. So I thought, well, I could go to the churches. I've gone to churches and raised money for different things before, and it was a really simple process. But with the COVID going on right now, everything has changed. Everything's online, everything's different. So I just contacted my church to start out small and then see what I could do. They thought it was wonderful. My church supports people in Haiti, so they couldn't really help me. They said they'd be willing to put
Wow.
my information up, on an information board, but that's really all they could do. And she explained to me that the reason why it's so hard for churches won't help anymore is because of the cost of shipping. It's not affordable for anyone to ship the supplies and different things people would need in that situation.
So,
So
Penny, is this that what's on screen right now? Is this still a valid fundraiser?
Yes.
And
Yes,
this is
it
on
is.
Facebook fundraising?
Yes, I started first. I believe I started a group called Prayers for Kenya because I thought, well, that's too big of a problem for me to handle by myself. We're talking a humanitarian crisis. We're talking an environmental crisis going on. And that's just too much for one person to do. So I thought, well, what could I do? I could bring awareness. I'm on Facebook. I have 5,000 people. I can make an awareness to what's going on there. So that was my first thought. And I talked to Vincent about it, and he agreed with it. And that was going really well. And then I didn't really know any other ways to raise funds other than that I do crafts. And I thought, we could do crafts or something and raise money and awareness by selling crafts. I could have totally managed that one.
So this
And
turned out to be a lot harder than you thought, but the
oh
Facebook is
my
going to work.
gosh, it was. And I was scrambling around, asking everyone and anyone I ran across, can you help me? Can you help me? I was like becoming like a little pest. And I don't think anyone else really knew what to do. So one day a thing popped up on my Facebook and it said, do a Facebook fundraiser. And I started reading it and looking into it. And I said, well, that seems pretty simple. That's something I could do. But I thought, well, first we have to make sure this is legitimate. That the other fundraisers I tried, I went through all the verification processes that you need to do with your bank account and all the things you need to do a fundraiser. And I had another one ready to go. Um, I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head, but it was one that they could do in Kenya. And I was about
So
ready to
we've
go with that when I found the Facebook one.
right. So we've got this shared. The way it came to our attention was it was shared to our Humanity First, moving forward with Andrew Yang. Oops, sorry, my phone is too noisy. Let me decline that. So we saw Vincent's post there. But then we saw that it got some attention, but not a lot of attention. And we didn't want to just keep reposting it because then it starts to feel kind of like somebody trying to scam you or something, like
Yeah.
that seems to be the major issue is that people aren't sure if Vincent is a real person, if things are really happening. And people don't have time to look into everything that comes up. Doesn't pop, pops up on your radar for a minute and then just kind of disappears. So we thought the best way to help.
I did hours and hours and hours of research. I made Vincent give me a picture of him with his ID, with his face. I talked to other people that actually live in there. Poor Vincent's like, here's the front, here's the back.
Right.
I talked to other people that lived there. And it was, I had to convince myself first before I even thought about asking other people for help. And I truly felt that it was a legitimate reason. And I think that, people can help each other and we have to help ourselves sometimes. We can't always count on the government.
Where did Vincent go? Excuse me, where did Vincent go?
So can you mute your microphone when you're not speaking, Penny? Because I hear an echo when I'm talking.
For me?
Yeah, can you find your mute button and push that so we can hear the rest of the people talking?
Where did Vincent go?
So I believe that Vincent is, so if I could get Penny to push the mute button, we would be able to hear better. There we go. So I believe that Vincent is having technical difficulties because he's on a phone. I bet he doesn't have a lot of battery power. He has to find a place to charge his phone. These are the complications I discovered while we were scheduling. This is an unusual time for him. We had to move our time slot to an early morning so that he could be here. For him, it's already evening. And so he's standing outside, and I just don't think he's plugged in and probably has no battery at this point. So I think we'll be lucky if we hear from him again today in time to finish the live stream.
Is it okay if I sort of connect what I think I've been hearing so far?
Yeah, I would love that. That's why you're here.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, Quintus Jett. So I've been a member of Yang Gang, but in addition to that, I have a background with emergency response or disaster recovery, that kind of thing, and I'm on I'm on something called the Resilient America Roundtable, which is through the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine. It's like a lot of professors, other experts, and representations from the federal government, different agencies, just to address how do local and regional communities respond to disasters, the various kinds. And what's striking to me about this is what's going on in Kenya with the flooding. I mean, it's not as different as what's going on here in America than many people think. There's a great deal of flooding happening in the United States. And there's other kinds of disasters too. And every time there's an extreme event, the same kinds of things happen. There's people can be physically displaced for a time, or for a long time. There's economic displacement because people don't have their jobs, or the industries or businesses are shut down. The provision of education, the provision of healthcare, the provision of food, having shelter, all of these things, it may happen slightly differently, but these are the things that always end up happening. And then when you add in, it was mentioning in Kenya, add a pandemic on top of this, of all the things I mentioned. And so in other words, what's going on in Kenya, like in his area, his village with the flooding, the same kinds of issues are turning up here. And so when I see this thing about the flood, I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, it's hurricane season. What's going to happen here in the United States when there's some kind of hurricane comes through? And in addition to the pandemic, all the displaced economic, physical displacements and all the interruptions of all the services that's going to happen. And so yeah, I think this is a very relevant conversation. And similarly, that's why, I mean, this UBI concept that we all fought for, like within the Yang campaign for the United States, there's a reason that people all over the country, all over the world are talking UBI, because this need is very much acute, that everyday people, we need to have some sort of mechanism, especially for when extreme events happen, like a pandemic, like a flood, like an earthquake. Like there's no way to respond like completely as quickly as we would like from a government perspective, from a business perspective, or from a nonprofit perspective. And so if we could at the very least have people have the mechanisms for the people to have some basic income, all of us, we might be able to do things more readily together to respond to it.
Also, that when you have a basic income already, then you will not need to do as many pleas for help when everybody is always covered. You might have lost everything, but you're still going to get that money this month. And that money will still help you to just at least cover basic needs, even if you can't replace your house with it. So when we do fundraise, that money is going to go towards the building of the home, which is what Vincent was telling us before. So Penny, you're welcome to unmute anytime that you want to actually talk. That it's just that we get the echo when you're unmuted. So
No, this is absolutely great. You guys get it. And I really appreciate that you guys get it. People were starting to think I was crazy. I was starting to wonder if I was crazy myself, because it was, it's just shocking. And it is a hard thing to believe, but I think enough people, can see it. I tried to get as many news reports as we could, and getting it out there. That's that's the key. That's what I think. I'm just one little fish in a big pond, you know, but just needed help to get it out there. I mean, there are people that care. There are people that will help.
So I noticed that you had set what I think is a very small goal. $10,000 would not be enough to buy a home in the United States. But how much, I think that it might be pretty helpful for somebody in an area where the homes are less costly, or their cost of living is so much lower. Can you tell us why you chose that particular goal?
Okay, sure. At first we discussed, I thought, let's work out a budget. I said, what exactly do you need to rebuild your home? And he gave me exact details. I mean, what he needed. And he estimated that the cost to rebuild his current home would be about $1,500 to $2,000. And that's a 25 by 25 foot home. So I was like, wow, if you could only do that here for that price. I
Well,
estimated, so then I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've believed that we actually could build homes for that price if we were willing to do things like sandbag construction. But we have all of these crazy laws, regulations that make it hard for us to build simple homes and live in them. But how many more people we could help if we would be able to, have like that whole small home movement that we have in our country.
Yes, tiny houses are great, and they should do something with that. But then after we figured out how much it was going to possibly cost for the house, and he needs to raise it up higher too. That's the key thing there. They need to raise their houses up so that next year, because every year the floods get worse, climate change, and they need to raise them up a little bit. But besides that, he has medical expenses. He needs new clothes. They have no food. I mean, there's people starving there. There's people drowning there and dying right every day. And I don't know if that stopped. I haven't heard of any new lately, but that was really disturbing too. And there's orphanages there that are just out of luck. There's so much going on. But we estimated that, and to really help him kind of get on his feet so that he could help the other people that live there, if we could get about $3,000, that would build his house, help him keep his phone running, help him keep food, help him stay healthy enough to actually help his people. So I thought, well, that's great. And we started out with that, but it said on the fundraiser that you can always change the amount and adjust it as you go. So we discussed it, and I said, well, we can't just help you. We got to help everybody somehow. And that was his point too. So he talked about raising it. So we raised it to 10,000, and we were hoping to get enough to rebuild his house, get him on his feet, and then the extra money would go to help the other people in the community.
I'm super excited to see Vincent was able to rejoin us. Hi, Vincent. It's getting dark over there.
Okay, thank you.
So Penny was telling us why you had chosen a $10,000 for your first, goal to set. And also, I wanted to introduce Penny a little bit more to, have you met Dr. Jett before?
Yes.
No, I haven't. I haven't met him. I've just seen him on videos.
Okay, so but you do know of Dr. Jett. So I don't know if you know about him, that after Hurricane Katrina here in the United States, he ran a project with a lot of volunteers to categorize different buildings in the neighborhoods of Chantilly neighborhood, of what type of needs still needed to be met in that area. Is that correct? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, because every time there's an extreme event, like one of two polls that people tend to have. I mean, one is that it's so big, like a disaster is so big that people want to help. That's like one instinct, right? But then the other side is it's so big that everyone feels helpless. So how do you tie in this, hey, it's so big we want to help, but it's so big I feel helpless. And one way of doing that is almost breaking it up into little pieces, like, that, so that you can see, well, what can I do? So that's what we did in New Orleans. The project picked one area, one district in New Orleans called Gentilly, and we just the project was to go to every house and designate it red, yellow, blue, green. Red was devastated, yellow means under construction or gutted, blue means renovated or occupied, and green meant vacant lot. And so there were 22 neighborhoods, 15,000 addresses. We went to every single address and labeled it red, yellow, blue, green. And with that, we could see how much and what kinds of need was needed where. And
that might be something that I think might help Vincent to make a plea and to judge the actual full needs of the community once he's able to, get himself into a safe place.
Yes,
yeah,
he's very up on everything. He's a very smart man, and
Vincent, you said
do that.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting people. Sometimes the thought comes up. I was wondering, Vincent, what do you study? You said you're a student still.
Okay, I'm studying ITC.
You're studying.
Hello?
You're studying
ITC.
ITC. What does that stand for?
ITC. It is deal with computers.
And
electrons.
So you're how are you using that right now? Are you able to put that into practice right now for anything that any of the needs that you're meeting? Or you're just struggling to get to school, I guess, and continue your studies right now?
Well, that actually could be a very good field for what he's doing, because basically, when you think about what we call like crowdsourcing, that mostly came from like the information technology world, because basically, how do you take a big problem and break it up into little pieces that everyone can do a little bit of? So it's like using technology to almost create like potlucks of things.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's a very fortunate field he has. And what's also too, I think I want to bring up that like in the age of pandemic, we're all focused on how things can be exponential. Like one person has infected and they can infect like 10 people, Well, making a difference actually can be, quote, viral as well. That like we can create that virtuous cycle. And I think that's what I'm seeing that Vincent is. I mean, if there's support to get Vincent kind of, like having him support and he's able to reach out and help other people, we can actually turn things around where he lives and create this virtual cycle of more people being able to help each other very quickly than, let's say, just dealing with issues and like, we can do things more powerfully than just simply one person at a time. If we help the right person, that one person can then help plenty of other people and get them on their feet.
Yes. And Vincent, here's another thing we could ask you while you're here. If we're able to get you that first 10,000 and maybe more, who knows, what are some of your plans for the money? What can you do with that? Because we're not familiar with, what kinds of needs can be met with that amount of money in your hometown.
Okay, if I can get money right now, I can take a few people who affected by flood to building houses, supporting through food and clothes.
So the first needs to be met are to make sure they have safe shelter, so helping to build the homes, and then also to make sure they have food and clothing. Just meeting the basic needs. Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Jett, you're muted.
I wonder if we could do like I wonder if we could do like sort of think this through. It's like if there's $500 today, what would we spend it? Like if there was $500 like today, and it had to be spent the next week, where would it go?
Okay, let me to enter in the class, then we will talk.
Okay.
just give me 5 minutes.
Okay.
No problem.
I just wanted to say that some people need medical attention very badly there too. There's waterborne diseases, there's COVID, there's people that are injured and sick. So I just wanted to make sure that medical attention kind of would get added into, you know.
I'm so far removed from the area. I've also heard that there were locusts this year and that it was a very bad situation. Did that have anything to do did that affect Kenyans also?
As far as I know, yes, it has been a big problem there.
So that would create a shortage of food, so making the food more expensive during this very difficult time. Because they would have to find the food from farther away and transport it.
Right, and their crops were washed away, flooded, gone. All they can do is try to replant and hope. And I asked, how much food supply do you have? And he said about a year, and they will literally have no food at all.
Is there any way to? I mean, I'm trying to think. One thing that I'm wondering about, like a basic thing, is the communications aspect, right? I mean, like Vincent's ability to get on the phone, like sort of like if we could have like infrastructure of communication, we could actually show what the needs are more easily, and then and we could even do things like with telemedicine. I mean, that's one silver lining maybe of the pandemic is that the wrestling with how to do telemedicine better. So yeah, it's like yes, we would want to have real medical personnel there, but while we cannot, if there is a way to maybe on their phones for people to talk to doctors about things. Yeah.
I had to use teledoc here in my rural area in East Texas because there wasn't enough appointments. So I can see that being a little bit helpful. In my case, the doctor wasn't really able to help and just had to basically tell other doctors actually in my area that I need an appointment a little faster. Like, no, we need to bump her up and push her in faster. That was it, but still a little helpful.
I would prefer telemedicine, man, unless it's for whatever reason they have to do something physically on my body, but most of the time it's just talking. Like I take my mom to the cardiologist and she's got a little heart monitor in her chest and that feeds to their computers at the cardiologist office so they can track her heart at any given moment, right? And then they're like, do you want to come in? And I'm like, nah, man, that's 50 miles away from my home.
Yeah.
And it's $50 for us to sit there and for the doctor to say everything is fine. Like, that's crazy.
My mother had the same thing. She had a pacemaker and we had to download her pacemaker.
Hi, Vincent. It's nice to see you again with the actual light behind you.
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about how we can best utilize the resources that we're able to gather. And what are some of your plans for that? Dr. Quintus was saying, supposing we just spent the first $500, what would we do first?
Like today, like there was a week to spend $500. Where would it go?
Okay, if I can get $5,000 right now, the first thing I can do, I can take some people who are homeless, to build them home and give them food and give them clothes.
Well, that's pretty important. That covers your most important basic needs. And Penny was concerned about people getting medical care. Are you
Yes,
are you in need of medical supplies or doctor time, or what do you need out there?
yes, that one also they need, because the flood have affected, we have caused waterborne disease. Even people are sick, children are sick. There are no medicine right now in Kenya. The doctors are on strike.
Why are the doctors on strike during this important and difficult time?
In Kisumu County, no cannot pay the governors. They cannot pay the doctors.
So they are
It's very
refusing to
corrupt.
work without being paid, and they see nobody has
Yes,
money. Mm. We have we have a system in the United States for our rural areas, like where I live, where people are poor in the United States, and we cannot afford our doctors sometimes, and we don't have enough doctors that are willing to live in our area to take care of us. So we'll use something called telemedicine. We use a telephone, and like this, like the Zoom call, and we call the doctor, and they talk to us over the phone and prescribe medicines. Do you have that system in your area?
there are no that system here.
No telephone doctors.
Yes.
Right. But that means if we had doctors from other places like the United States, we can do the same medicine across, except for maybe legal barriers. The problem is always the legal parts.
Okay. If we can get doctors from another country, we can do it.
What about Doctors Without Borders?
Pardon?
Well, we would. I'm sure they're already paying attention to this situation.
Yeah, I would imagine, but that's the first thought.
Right. Yeah. That's why we have.
Only when you're talking.
So, okay. Well, how do you feel about Annette? Have we shared the link for everybody in case they want to actually, take a look at the
Yes.
the fundraiser? Are we able to put that in the chat somewhere or something?
Yes, I did it in the watch party that's happening in the group, in the big group, but I will put it in these comments as well right now while we're sitting here.
Okay.
All those links.
Vincent, how many people are in your family?
In my family, we are six brothers, six children, 4 brothers and 3 sisters. Even my brother, the firstborn of our family, 2 children and wife. Even me also have a son.
Okay, and how many of them live with you when you are together in your home?
Right now we are staying in school. I have stayed with my 3 brothers and 1 girl, plus my son.
Okay, how old is your son?
My son is 5 years old.
Oh, I have a
It is
6-year-old. They are probably very similar. So when you're able to build your home, how many people will be moving into your home together? Moving back in together?
I will live with all my brothers and sister who can willing to stay with me. I'm happy to welcome them in my house.
Everyone you can fit.
Yes.
Do you still have your parents, Vincent?
I have only my mom. My father was died 19 something years ago.
Oh,
through
wow.
road accident.
Yes.
Road accident.
So your mom had to
Yes.
take care of you and all your brothers and sisters for the many years when you were when you were a child, maybe
Yes, right
you lost
now
your
the
money.
little I, right now the little I get, I support with my mom and my family.
How many of your brothers and sisters are of an age to be able to work and get money now?
Uh, right now I can only four, all of them four. Yes,
Okay, are you the youngest or the middle or older?
I am the second boy in
You're
the
the
our
second
family.
boy.
In our family.
Okay. How many people usually live together in the homes in Kenya? Do people always live in big groups?
Yes, they some homes they are stay in big groups. Even another family can stay with with another family because of poverty. Even some people have no food to eat, have no
Right.
have no have no clothes, have no medical care. They are going homes with somebody who can able to help them.
So when you say there's no food to eat, then that means you have been hungry lately. How long are you waiting between meals to get your meals? What do you do when there's no food in the area?
In our area, we are doing farming. By the time we are growing some crops, vegetables, maize, flood swept away. Even right now, we cannot go to farm because of flood. And the
So
Feni
when
have
there's
been
no
supporting.
food, yeah, you have to wait for the government to bring in the food on the trucks, and then you go to the. Do you go to like a store and purchase the food, or how do you get the food when the supplies come in?
Okay. Through when you have money, you can go to buy food on the shop marketing. To by the right, the flood affected us. The government bring food once in a week, only once. Right now, they did not take care those who come in schools, those who are homeless. But Feni have been support me through foods, the little amount they sent me. I share with my family, my mom, and my friends also.
Um, I'm just try asking questions to help people get situated and imagine what it's like to be living there right now and trying to fend for yourself with no food anywhere in sight. So all the food is being brought in various ways by is the private industry still working? Do you have grocery stores and things like that, or
Yes, we have those things like those industry here.
and the supply chain is still working or it's been disrupted?
Yes, those who supply foods. They also company they are here.
So Penny, did you have anything you wanted to add? Because you've had more conversations with Vincent before.
Sure. Yeah, I asked him what he had to eat. Like right in the beginning of this, a glass of water. I'm like, seriously, you had a glass of water for breakfast and you had a glass of water for dinner. That was all he had. And I asked if there was like any local herbs or healing properties that could help people that maybe they could use. And he said, not really. I mean, there is the markets. There's the Kasumu market, and you can go there and buy anything you want, but you have to have money to do that. They don't give it away free. And it's only people that have money that can go and get food, and then of course they share it with their family and their friends. I've personally been sending Vincent, like $25 here and $25 there just to keep him going, just so we can at least make enough money to make a difference, or until another agency would step in. Of course, I can't keep doing that forever, but you know, I had bottle money stored up from the lockdown, so I could just use that and help them get enough food to stay healthy enough to do something about this.
So, how much does it cost to get, for example, what if you were able to? Are you able to even cook for yourself right now in the school? Do they have facilities for cooking? And
Yes, we have.
okay, so what kind of things might you buy for a meal? How much does it cost to get a meal, for example, or enough things? Like, how much do you pay for a bag of rice, or how big is the rice? And, like, give us an idea of what it's like to be you there.
Okay, 1 kg of rice here, it is 300 shillings, Kenya shillings, ma'am.
Okay,
1
and
kg.
how much is that for us for American dollars? Did you say something,
For
Penny?
American dollars,
Yeah.
it is around
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's one Kisumu or Kenya shilling. It's a Kenya shilling. It's KES on the stock market exchange, and it's a pretty close equivalent from a dollar to a shilling. I don't understand it all, but like if I was to send him $25, he would get $24 and something. So it's not as different as I thought. I've asked people what their phone bills are there, because they're worried they're all going to lose their phone services too. That's another major problem. How do you communicate and get help if you have no electricity and no phone service? So I asked, different people how much, and it was about equivalent to what I pay a month, for phone service, anywhere from $50, $60 a month, keep your phone going, and like I desperately want to help them because I want to stay in communication with them, but I can't afford to pay $60 for everyone's phone bill either. So I thought, well, that's another problem.
So is that excuse me, is that the same? So it's like in Kenya, it's like $60 per person per month.
Like American dollars? Yeah.
Yes, that's the way I'm understanding it from a lady named Oleinka. I don't know if I'm saying her name right. I'm sorry. But she was trying to help me understand, the phone situation and stuff there. And it sounded like she needs like somewhere around $40 to $60 a month, American, dollars to keep her phone going. And I'm really surprised that she still has her phone going. It probably won't be much longer.
It's pretty expensive because I'm only paying about $40 now for my phone service, and I have very good internet service on my phone. So, but as we know, things are more expensive for poor people. It's true here in the United States also. Like I've been living in Mexico before. I lived in Mexico for about 5 years, and they paid more for their computers and their blue jeans and things like that we take for granted here in the United States as a certain price. They pay for the old generation technology more than we pay for the regular, the new stuff. So it was very, very eye-opening for me to live in a different country and see that. And so I've never been to Africa, and that's why I'm asking a lot of, questions. You're wondering, why is she asking me that? Because it's probably very different than here in the United States. And it's hard for people to really understand what it's like to be somewhere else unless they've been there. So anything you can tell us about that would help.
Well, it also strikes me that, that actually could be something. It's like, I'm thinking like if there was $500, $500 would like cover, let's say, Vincent's phone for like several months. And so that would be out of the way. Like you would know that the phone is taken care of, and maybe even have enough for someone else with a phone. Because yeah, the more people who have access to their phones, the better.
But then we'd have to worry if he's gonna, not have food. So it's really hard to decide what's gonna be first and get paid for first.
Well, I think there's a reason to have like both though, because it's like if there's a means of communicating with other people, you can possibly figure out a way to get food or have people get food to you. But if there's no communication at all, I mean, what we know in the United States is sometimes some communities are cut off economically because they've been physically removed from everyone else. So like, yeah, so for example, like I think it's like inner city Milwaukee that used to happen. Like you cut off the bus routes so that people can't get out. And then there's so then they're not able to make their livelihood. So in a way, I'm almost wondering if that might be a simple way of thinking about this. Like if you can get more people in that location connected by their phones so that they don't have to worry about it. So also too, they're not having to worry about losing their phone coverage. It's like, no, they will have phone coverage and they'll have it for the next 3 to 4 months. That is not a problem. Now we can all start thinking about what else we can do with that. Because my understanding is that the fastest moving innovation apparently in the history of the world is the smartphone. Smartphones didn't exist really until like 2007. And less than 20 years later, everybody has them. Like throughout the world, everyone has smartphones. So so if we have a smartphone, we might be able to do things with it. Hungry Planet.
Have you seen this book before? It's called Hungry Planet. And it's by some wonderful photographers and writers called Peter Menzel and Faith D'Aluzio. And what they did was they went to many different countries in the world back in I think this was made in the 1980s was when they started taking the photos. So it's a little bit dated now. But it's interesting how people eat differently in different countries, And what we consider, this is what they did was they went to each country and they had the family, so you knew who lives in this household. They would have the family stand around the table where they eat, and they bought the entire week's worth of food for everybody. And they said, be honest, go buy all the things you would eat or drink. So people bought beer sometimes. People bought fast food. Some people bought soda. People bought their meat, their vegetables, whatever, rice. And in each country, you could see what was different about them. And it was really interesting to me because it's so different. And the price of the food is so different. And some places where they pay less, but they have healthier food than in the United States. And I think that's still the case. So that's why I was asking a little bit about what is it like for you? How many people in your family, right? Because I have a picture in my mind. I'm trying to form it like that. Like what would constitute a week's worth of food for you? Besides rice, what else do you buy? What do you normally eat when you are, have enough money to do it?
I'm not sure he can hear. Vincent? Uh-oh. I can't hear anybody now. Hold on.
I think we're not talking. I was just showing the book, but it was sort of in my mind, like if Vincent could paint a picture for us through words, what types of food are usually available and how much it would cost him for like normal meals and stuff. When things are normal, but this is not a normal time.
Okay. Yes. The food that can my mom do work for only one day, this can take only around 500 shillings, Kenya shillings. You even can eat well, you can have fruits, you can have even a cup of coffee, even some soft drinking, 500 shillings or Kenya shillings.
Okay, so according to Google, 1 Kenyan shilling is equal to only only 1/100th of a US dollar. So it's like a penny. So when you say 500 shillings, it's like a little less than $5. So $5 would basically feed you for a day, any particular person. That includes, do you
Yeah.
eat breakfast and lunch and dinner like we try to do here? Or do you have one big meal a day? What do you do?
Breakfast and lunch, then coffee at the evening, then supper.
Okay. Did you say coffee or something else?
Eh,
That's a word I don't know, maybe. Coffee?
Coffee. Yeah.
Some things don't change anywhere. Everybody drinks coffee everywhere. Okay, and what about for clothing? If you were trying to, if somebody wanted to buy clothing for somebody, how much is clothing out in where you live? Because I think clothing is actually one of the cheaper items in the United States because we have thrift stores where we can buy used clothing even.
Okay. One trouser. Yeah. Yeah. For clothing or for clothes, one trouser, it will cost around 450 Kenya shillings.
I can't hear you, Faye.
Oops, I'm sorry. So basically, whenever you hear Celine, we can hear it as a penny because it's a little bit less than a penny, actually. And Penny happens to be also the person who's helping us make this plea. So we're using the word penny a lot. Well, okay, I just wanted to probably close out our discussion today because Dr. Jett is going to lose power too. And I suspect that Vincent has to get back to his family now that it's getting dark and going to be close to nighttime. Thank you so much for joining us. I think you're a first international guest. Is that right, Annette?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
So we're very pleased to meet you, Penny, and we're so glad that you both joined together to try to help during this time of crisis. And I think, Dr. Jett, do you have anything else you want to tell us about? Maybe you could get together with Vincent later and give him some ideas about how to make more structure the help, as we get closer to getting more money for him.
Well, yeah. In the end, a lot of it is always trying to figure out resource allocation, right? It's not just having resources, but figuring out how to better allocate the resources that you have and then communicating that with other people, because then when people see that you're able to allocate resources better, they tend to give you more resources.
Yeah, the more efficient and the more useful the money is, the better people feel about giving it. And so we want to make sure people understand that it's really going to help somebody in need. Okay, well, do you want to take us out, Annette, or do you have anything else you want to add?
Sure. I'm going to run. I don't have banners made for everybody, but.
Oh, that's a good idea. Are either of you on Twitter?
I know.
Or, where do you want to be found? On Facebook, maybe? On Facebook? Okay.
Facebook.
So on Facebook, just use Penny Brandon's name and also Vincent Kajomo. People can connect with him there, and he's very responsive. When he can, he will answer your chat. If you want to ask him anything yourself, just messenger Vincent. I found him to be very responsive and very happy to talk to you.
Yep, and then Quintus is just Quintus Jett on Facebook if anybody needs to reach out to him for any reason. So,
and Vincent,
usually,
Oh, sorry, Vincent, you can use this video. Share it to whoever you want to help people understand that you really are a real person. The situation is real. The money will be going to a good place. Okay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And
Those are
we will
awesome.
see you next time.
Okay.
Humanity first forever.
Humanity forward. Yang
Welcome.
gang. Yang gang. Bye.
See
Bye,
you.
everyone.
All right.
May God bless
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
May God bless you.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Nate.
You
I hope
too.
you are blessed too.